Hello, Earth Angels. This is Pip Coleman, and I'm jumping in today to talk about the thing that happens when the paycheck stops and what people don't really know about that retirement transition phase. I work with a lot of women who are going through that midlife to retirement space, and there is a surprising, perhaps not so surprising, but there is a thing that happens when we get into that space of transitions, whether it's leaving a job, just transitioning to a different job, or leaving a relationship, or moving house, any big transition that we have in our lives. There is a surprise that we have, that people get, in terms of how much we feel in that time, and the amount of emotions that come up, the different types of emotions that come up during that time. And so I wanted to speak to that from a little bit of a spiritual perspective, as well as a practical perspective for you, and give you a little bit of hopefully an aha moment around that. So this period of time, I talked to a lot of my clients about what happens when they make this step into retirement. Particularly, a lot of my clients are in that late 50s, early 60s kind of stage in their life, and so they are thinking about, what do I do now post menopause and post midlife? It's such a weird phase, because now that we live to we're about 90, as a general rule, we are not, our midlife now has sort of extended, and it's into that 60s, and almost into your 70s, that you're still considered midlife. So it's a really interesting space, and it's important to know that you might have feelings of grief coming up around losing the thing that you loved, the thing that defined you, particularly if you're stopping work and moving completely into retirement. You're not just doing that half and half thing that some of you do. It is actually a period of, it's actually stopping. The paycheck is stopping. The sense of purpose potentially is stopping. There is a line being drawn in the sand, and it's really interesting to see how what that actually brings up for you. And the thing that I find a lot of my clients talk about is the what now? Who am I if I'm not this job, this accountant, this nurse, this doctor, this whatever you are, receptionist, whatever your job is. If you are not doing that thing, who are you? And so those questions that are already coming up in this midlife time, which I find, I call them the seeker questions, the who am I, what am I here for, why, the big why, they become more amplified in this period of retirement. And so because you're making this transition, this big change, and you're taking away a part of yourself, it feels like you're removing, it's like chopping off a limb, So what I find is really important is to do a lot of extra self-care in this time, and that involves potentially looking at grabbing your journal and doing some self-inquiry around what's coming up for me. What emotions am I having? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling frustrated? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling like I am not worthy anymore? Am I feeling like there is what's my place? What's my place in the universe if I don't have this job? So, and those questions can be answered by self-reflection, like journaling. You can also step into a space of meditation. Even if you've never done meditation before, I take my clients through gentle beginner meditations that are just 5 minutes long, and just to get them into that space of stillness and asking a question and then listening to the answer. And one of those things that happens in this time is also a need to really tap into your higher self, your intuition. And that means you need to give yourself space. You need to give yourself stillness and quiet and peace. And that could be tricky too, especially if you've had a job that's really, really demanding and has asked a lot of your time. And I want to also mention that a lot of women feel this way if they have children, when their children go off, that empty nesters kind of time is very similar to a retirement space. The way that women feel when they're going into retirement is the same as they feel when their children go off and go to uni or leave home or whatever it is that's happening in terms of the change in the home as well, because your role is changing. You are now looking at yourself only and not the people around you necessarily that need to be taken care of. So there is the same kind of feelings and emotions and questions come up when we have our children, if we have children leaving home. So that's important to note too. That's an important transition. And so we need to remember that this can be quite an intense time, and it's important to have support in that time. So you might have your partner or you might not have your partner. You might have friends, but your friends might not be going through the same transition as you. So this is the sorts of things that can be helpful to do this sort of self-reflection on. The other thing, I was writing in my blog this week and talking about it on my podcast, my passcode, on my podcast. It's that thing of connection, that community, that space for us to share is, we don't meet in circle anymore. Once upon a time, there used to be a space where women would gather, not just women, men and women would gather, but they would gather together with just women and they would gather together with just men so that they could talk about the things that were coming up for them as individuals, but also as a collective, as women as a collective. And that's something that has been coming in really strongly for me with my tribe and myself. I have actually been really drawn to wanting to spend more time in circle, in community, in connection with other women. And so that's where I'm moving at the moment, to create spaces where I can have connection with women. And some of them will be online and some of them will be in person, where I am at the moment in Phillip Island. But one of the things that's really important is, if you are really feeling that call to connect with other women, to connect in a spiritual, emotional, and real way, then that's something that is really normal, and it is absolutely necessary, I think, at this time, particularly if you're going through a big transition, or if you're in that 50s, 60s, into your 70s kind of time, because that is when your wise woman phase is fully getting activated. And so that's the time to connect with other wise women. So I'm really excited about this phase. I'm really excited about what happens in this space. And I hope that you have some questions that have come up for you. And if you do, then feel free to reach out. I would love to talk more with you, and maybe we can meet online or in person if you're interested in joining a circle. That would be amazing. So be kind to yourselves, and I look forward to speaking to you again on the next week of this beautiful series that I've started.